All right, friends and family, welcome to a new YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about the whole concept of going from full-time and securely switching to a freedom trader in 90 days. What that entails is that we are going to be transitioning from an aspect where you have full-time obligations of a job or an occupation to transitioning smoothly into an area where you can trade and go from being fully dependent on your job to potentially being semi-dependent to completely independent of your job. And in essence, in return of that, you want to become financially independent, semi-financially independent, right? Those are two main aspects, right? What does it mean to be semi-financially independent? Is that you have your costs covered with a new skill, and then everything additional to that, right, is still not there. So we're going to be focusing on just that aspect for the time being. That is pretty much where you can make that transition, where you can securely transition from being full-time to potentially part-time. And then you want to be looking onto how you can scale your entire trading career alongside then completely exiting and leaving your job. But I would say grab a pen and paper, kind of walk along this journey with me, this roadmap that I've quickly built out for you. These are the things that I do with my students as well. These are exactly the talks that I do with them as well, making sure that you're very honest of what you do, making sure that it's just a numbers game at the end of the day, and that there's nothing to be embarrassed of for having a job. Absolutely not. I actually believe that it's very good to have a job and then trade alongside, and then it gives you that breathing room to transition, to scale, because you have an X amount that is certain that comes in every so often, whatever your payment structure is, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, every other aspect. It doesn't really matter. Stage one, it's an aspect of 30 days in each of these stages. Stage one, we talk about the concept of a safety net, right? In stage one, the goal is to understand that there is a safety net, and that you want to have something that either appears passively or that you have an X amount set to the side, that you are giving yourself an X amount of time to make this work, right? I would rather calculate upon the higher end of this scale than on the shorter end of the scale, because that is where many people go bust with this skill, right? The Forex market isn't going to go anywhere. It's an endeavor that you can pursue in the next year, the next 5 years, and most likely in the next decade or two, in your lifetime. It's still going to be there, right? I stand wholly by the fact that you need to have some sort of safety net set in stone, whether that is, 1 year of salary set in savings, or if you have something where you're passively growing an account that you can essentially grow to an essence that it acts as a way of having at least 6 months. So an asset that gains, a valuable asset, whether that's something in crypto or anything more tangible like gold or the S&P, that you've got some sort of dividend overall, a portfolio that will only gain as you transition. So it mostly likely be a blue chip portfolio, where you have an X amount of your costs. So I always make sure that you know what your costs are per month. From that, you want to make sure that you have at least 6 times your monthly costs somewhere, either in a savings account, just cold, or in an asset that is appreciating. So it only goes higher, right? So if you start off and you take the leap and you have 6 months worth of your costs, your fixed costs in an asset that is appreciating throughout that time, as you go into like month three, right? So at the end of this stage, that 6 months has now potentially become 7 months, 8 months, right? On the higher end of things, if something does 20%, right? It's just a gauge, right? But you get where I'm coming from, that it's appreciating, right? You don't want to invest it in a depreciating asset that you think that you've put away 6 months of costs on the side, but at the end of the day, when you want to sell it and the plan doesn't work out and you need to get that money, uh want to reach for that safety net that your 6 months only turns out to be a depreciating asset class and it's only worth 3 months, right, of your fixed cost. So always have half a year, if not a year, of work ahead, right? That is what I make sure to also hint out to my students, and to make sure that that's the best way of going about. You don't want to throw a Hail Mary, even if your costs are low, right? Many of my students are quite young, and they're in the fortunate situation that they still live at home, which is great. That's a different story in essence because, your costs are low, and that is a very pleasant situation to be in. And big shout out to, the parents that that are allowing that and that are content with that. But that's aside from that. In this pre-planning stage, first stage, you also want to figure out a trading style for yourself. Um, and you have to be very, very honest with that, right? You want to make sure that you also understand the fact that you're not going to be able to be scalping, which entails very high frequency trading, if you've got a 10-hour workday, right? Or if you've got a 40-hour work week. Um, Likewise, you're not going to be anticipating, if you live in central CET, right? European time zone, you're not going to be anticipated to trade Asia session or have a strategy surrounding Asia at 2 a.m. if you've got to wake up the next day super early, and vice versa. Also, I know on the opposite end of that spectrum, obviously you have people that work during the night and sleep over the day. Then you want to make sure that you do not mess up your sleeping schedule and all that stuff. So you want to make sure you have a trading style that suits your current occupation, right? We're not trying to deviate. We're not trying to work in the future steps just yet. You want to make sure that you have a trading style that is complementary to your current occupation. So whether that allows you, if you've got a desk job and you've got a couple different monitors and you're allowed to have different monitors at your job, or you work at home, which is very, very pleasant, right? You can just kind of do your own thing, have a separate monitor, separate laptop, all that stuff. I'm not here to boost the fact that don't do your job, but you yourself know best what type of situation you're in and what kind of monitoring you can allow yourself to do, right? If you have to be taking toilet breaks to manage your trades, I don't advise doing that. That's not the smartest thing to do. Um, by doing that, you also got to understand your risk management, right? I want you to get very comfortable with these things very early on, because these are going to be the cornerstones and the pillars of your entire trading journey. From here, you can actually scale, right? I don't want to see issues that everything goes well and that you still need to work on risk management, right? If this is a transition that you want to do effortlessly, the basics and the core principles need to be very, very strong in order to do that transition. So basic risk management, and I'm going to tell you now and be super blunt about it. I can tell you as many times as you want. All these other educators can tell you exactly how it is. But at the end of the day, you're not going to listen. You're going to make the mistake. And as long as you learn from that first time that you put your hand on the stove and you got your hands burnt, that's fine. But don't do anything stupid, right? We're not here to over leverage your account. We're not here to flip anything, right? We're not doing a quick fix. I'm not advising you to put that savings money into the account and full port it. So risk management basic entails that you're doing a realistic growth with whatever product you're going to be trading. And we'll get into that later because there are many different solutions nowadays that I didn't have when I started trading. But that's something that we'll get into in a second. So risk management basic entails understanding realistic expectations and also not putting everything on the line. That's the most important aspect. Um, this kind of gives us these three little bullet points in stage one, which should be the core principles of the things that you learn as you go by, right? You want to have a defined budget and goals. So these are the key points, right? Having these key points allows you to better understand pretty much what you want to go into, right? The transition is achievable with this right plan and with these defined budget and goals. So if you understand your budget, you understand how much you're getting in, right, every month with your job and what your costs are, and how much you can be saving on the side to then start experimenting with trading, it is very, very, very nice. So 6 month financial safety net, super, super important. You want to calculate your monthly expenses and savings, and then you want to choose your trading style. So your understanding of trading style, break down the concepts of either swing trading, day trading, and long-term investing, whatever one complements your current occupation. This is all dependent on availability and your personality, right? I don't need to be explaining those things to you. You can look in the mirror yourself and understand, hey, this is the type of trading that I want to be doing. And then from there, you want to learn that trading knowledge of the trading tools. You want to learn the risk management basics, essential resources, baby pips, super good resource to start with trading. If you want to do Forex, which I advise you to do. I've got numerous reasonings for that, but there are enough resources out there, right? Books, courses, mentors. Find yourself a good mentor, stuff like that. Communities, and work your way through the knowledge. Cool. The second stage after you've done your pre-planning is actually the transition plan, right? This is where we have three more topics that we can cover, right? You want to create a trading plan. The goal is to have a strategy. It is to have, let's say, a specific risk limit as well in your trading plan. And you want to make sure that you understand the basics and you have, everything that you have in your mind, right? It is also a journey of self experimentation. So put all the information that you have in your mind, declutter that, put it on paper, and then see what you resonate most with in this trading plan. So you're branching out in the first 30 days, you're looking at the different type of resources that there are, and then you're getting yourself involved in creating a trading plan. And it doesn't need to be perfect, right? Don't be scared here. You're not aiming for perfection. You are experimenting, you are understanding, and you want to be doing that feedback loop as many times as possible, as quickly as possible, because you're not shooting the bullet, you're not risking anything here. You are in that transition, you're planning for that transition, and now you're just collecting data upon yourself. So in stage two, that is kind of the key concept of stage two. You are trying to figure out a working trading plan. And then from there, you want to start paper trading. There are enough tools out there that you can click the button without risking anything, right? Practice without any major financial risks. Track the results. And that's the most important thing here is start collecting the data just a little bit, right? Even if it's paper trading, it's good. It's good to have that data collected. Journal, Excel, Edgewonk, whatever you want to use, all great tools. Write them down and continue from there. So, yeah, easy stuff. Start collecting the data, start understanding the parameters. And now, this is where the interesting, and for me, my core concept comes in. You want to make sure that here you're already understanding your emotional demands, your mental and emotional demands. You want to address your mindset, your discipline, and how you handle losses. Especially in this beginning phase, if you start off doing that very, very early on, you will understand that it can only benefit you quite, quite a lot. Because the sooner you start with understanding your mental aspect, the sooner you can master that aspect as well and really, really keep control of it. Right. So I've got enough YouTube videos on the planning to help you out with that. I've got a couple already in the playlist that I do recommend you looking at, right? Because psychology for me is the biggest aspect of trading. The whole technical aspect and the whole creating a plan, as you will notice, is very easy. The difficult part is when you click the button and you're scared. You see these numbers and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Um, so that's the difficult aspect of it. And we'll touch base upon that in a second. So that's stage two. You are clicking the button, you're experimenting a little bit, paper trading, and you're collecting data, and you want to create a feedback loop with your emotional aspect, right? Stage three is the last aspect, right? Stage three is your execution and your exit strategy. You want to start scaling gradually. Shift from paper trading to live trading with manageable risk. So we already looked at risk here in stage one. You want to be applying that into stage three again. And what you've done here is it's a thin threaded line that just only gets better, right? We're growing upon these concepts. We are evolving them as we go by. Exit job plan, that is maybe the most difficult aspect and maybe the most ambiguous aspect of this entire plan, right? You want to keep professionalism. You want to work on a notice period. You yourself know best what your aspect here is. I know a couple guys that came with me that are working crazy jobs at KPMG. And they want to do this, and then you got to start looking into the whole account side of your professionalism, your notice period, and all that stuff. The biggest aspect with your job, and you're not here to boast ego. Don't burn bridges, right? You want to avoid burning bridges. You may need a fallback. And that's very, very important that you might have to go back, and that's totally okay. So don't exit in an unprofessional manner or in an informal manner because you may have to fall back. You want to keep it professional. Very, very important. And now another kind of psychological aspect is the routine establishment, right? And that's a concept that sounds super vague once again, but let me go a little bit into detail. Routine, discipline, whatever you do outside of trading will resonate and will complement what you do in trading. If you're a very messy person with lots of clutter on your desk and in your bedroom, how are you going to manage your job, your new endeavors with trading, and your social life? Balance, right? Discipline, balance. You want to become a lot more professional with this. It is at the beginning maybe just a hobby, the whole trading aspect, but you want to start treating it as a side hustle. And then from there, you want to be implementing it into something that you can obviously grow and evolve into something that can take over your job, right? You go from being dependent on your job, semi-dependent and independent, being semi-financially independent and being financially independent, right? That is the transition that we are aiming for in this case. Routine establishment, very, very important. You want to have a schedule for trading, learning, and reviewing. So that hour of scrolling that you do on your phone before bed, scratch that, make it 30 and spend 30 days on 30 minutes, right, of that hour on just looking, reviewing your stuff, end of day markups, all that stuff. Look at how you did for the day, establish your connections with your mindset and your psychology, how that all worked out, and go on from there. Start blocking out your time periods a lot more efficiently with trading related things, whether it's learning, whether it's reviewing what you've done, or just overall just mastering your own discipline. So to wrap it all up, and kind of look at the greater image, within 90 days, you've got a thin threaded line and a plan that you can follow, right? You've got this pre-planning, this transition planning, and then your execution and exit strategy. 90 days sounds short. Don't get me wrong. What you can also do is just double this, 180 days, and that each of these stages takes 2 months. I can't look into your specific scenario. This is just a general roadmap, a general guideline as to how I would be doing it, right? It's possible in 90 days. It's also possible in 60 and 30 days, but it's also, it could take someone 360 days, a whole year, pretty much. Start your transition today, I would say. Look at what you can do this weekend. Open up a journal and say, fuck it. I'm going to be doing this. I want to make it happen. It's now. Take the leap. And my arms are completely wide open for any messages that you want to send me on how I can best help you. Um, there are enough free guides out there, webinars out there. I've got a great community, but there are enough other great communities out there with slots available where you can take that leap of faith and start your trading journey correctly. What I want to end upon is you might be scratching your head in this and be like, okay, hey, you've explained quite a bit, but just not enough in depth of where do I start? Is it live capital, proprietary capital, and whatnot? Again, that is something that you need to decide for yourself. Whether you're going to be trading live capital or proprietary capital, that is a decision you have to make for yourself. All I can give you and all I can tell you is don't put all your eggs in one basket. I've seen enough people that have gone bust with pretty much their account, in the sense of putting everything on a high frequency firm, right? Or everything on a prop firm, and the prop firm goes bust, right? Be very, very strict with where you are allocating your risk and allocating your capital. And in essence, your salary of your job in where you want to put it. So, on that note, I hope this gave you the motivation you needed to take the leap of faith, and also the guideline that you may need, right? Look at this, take a screenshot of this, look back upon it, and make it as fanatic as you need it to be. Like, dude, just do it. Print it out, put it on your wall. Um, that's what I do, you know. This is just me going completely off script, but I think like some of you may need to hear this. This is exactly what I did. It's not called manifestation. That shit doesn't exist. But what you can do is make sure that you are reminded of these goals, reminded of this plan, and just put your head down and work. I hope I hope there's one of you guys here that takes the leap of faith, that sees this video and thinks, fuck, it's time. We're going to be doing it. So I hope you enjoyed. I think that this video on its own is just a standalone great video. And I hope you resonated with it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Ciao, ciao. Thank you. And bye bye.